There is a whisper in the collective right now, and it's all about you. Not publicly, not loud, quietly. In the spaces between conversations, people are starting to say things, and what they are saying has shifted something in how they move around you. They think you don't notice, but you do. Yeah, you do. You notice everything. The energy has changed and they have finally realized who you actually are. Here is what's happening. They used to see you one way, right? Maybe they thought you were just nice. Maybe they thought you were easy to read, easy to understand, easy to navigate. But something happened. You handled a situation they couldn't handle. You saw through something they missed. You stayed calm where they panicked. And that's when it clicked for them. There is a whisper in the collective right now about your power. And it's making people uncomfortable. You're not loud. You're not flashy. You don't announce yourself into rooms or demand attention. That's exactly what makes this so unsettling to them. Because the truth is, the most dangerous person in any situation isn't the one screaming the loudest. It is the one everyone underestimates until it's way too late. And right now, that's you. People are starting to realize that you are not to be played with, not in a reckless way, not in an aggressive way, in a strategic way, in a way that removes their advantage before they even knew they had one. Think about it. Just think about it. A loud engine warns everyone it's coming. Everyone hears the noise, everyone gets out of the way. But a silent electric car, nobody sees it until it's right there. Nobody steps back in time. That's how your intelligence works. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need to. It just moves. And by the time people notice what's actually happening, the situation has already shifted in your favor. That's when the real energy changes. That's when the whispers start getting serious. And here is something most people won't admit out loud. Studies in behavioral psychology show that people fear what they cannot predict way more than what they cannot control. Think about that. Loud confidence feels manageable. Obvious intelligence feels measurable. Yeah, measurable. You can play around it. You can prepare for it. But quite adaptive intelligence, that messes with people's sense of safety in ways they can't even articulate. When someone can't read your next move, they stop relaxing around you. They start watching, calculating, replaying moments in their head, wondering what they missed. And that's exactly what's happening now in the spaces around you. You've probably already noticed this shifting. Conversations pause when you enter a room now. People choose their words more carefully around you. Jokes don't land the same way anymore because the energy is different. And someone who used to talk over you now listens. Someone who underestimated you suddenly pretends they always knew. That's not confidence. That's realization catching up to reality. Yes. What's interesting is you didn't suddenly become intelligent. You always were. You know this about yourself. The difference is the universe put you in situations where you and your mind had to show itself. Pressure reveals patterns. Yes, pressure reveals patterns. Chaos exposes thinkers. While other people were reacting emotionally, you observed. While they rushed, you waited. While they tried to dominate through noise, you adapted. And now people are connecting dots they should have connected a long time ago. Let me be direct with you. The whispers about you aren't really admiration, even though they sound nice on the surface. They are warnings, not because you're dangerous in some reckless, destructive way, but because you are dangerous in a strategic way. You don't explode. You don't react on demand. You don't telegraph your intentions and give people time to prepare their defense. You observe long enough to understand the entire board before you touch a single piece. And that's what makes people nervous, because it removes their advantage. It removes their ability to manipulate the narrative. There is a reason. There is a reason chess masters don't rush moves, Speed looks impressive in movies. It looks like power. But patience actually wins game. You've become that kind of presence. Someone whose silence carries actual weight. Someone whose calm feels loaded with intention. Someone who doesn't need to threaten anyone, because people already feel the shift when you're involved in a situation. They feel it in their body. People are starting to say things like, be careful with them, or they are sharper than they look, or the half-joking line that always gives it away. Yeah, don't try that with them. Those aren't compliments. Those are boundary makers. That's people quietly admitting they can't manipulate you the way they do others. That's surrender disguised as casual conversations. And here is another uncomfortable fact. Highly intelligent people are often recognized late, not early. Not because they hide, not because they are insecure about it, but because they don't perform intelligence for approval. They don't flex their credentials. They don't correct everyone in the room to prove they are right, they are the smartest. They let outcomes speak. That's the difference. By the time others realize what actually happened, the result is already locked in. You can't change it. You can't take it back. The game was already decided. That's why the whispers come after the impact, not before. You handled something others couldn't handle. You saw through something they missed. You stayed calm where others panicked. You didn't take the bait. You didn't fall for the obvious setup. And now people are replaying those moments in their head like security footage, slowly realizing you were several steps ahead the entire time. You were watching the board while they were watching your face. When people think they understand you, they relax. They feel safe. They have plan. They can plan. But when they realize they don't actually understand you, that's when the dynamic shifts completely. Some will respect you more now. Some will fear you quietly and won't even know why. Some will test you just to confirm their suspicion. And some will back away without ever explaining why. And here is the thing. None of that is your problem. That's just the cost of being mentally unplayable. Yeah, that word, unplayable. The latest whisper about you isn't that you're lucky. It isn't that you're naturally gifted or blessed or born with advantages. It's that you are dangerous in the only way that actually matters. You think clearly under pressure when other people are losing their minds. You see patterns earlier than that others miss completely. You don't give emotional access to people who haven't actually earned it. And you don't need validation for anyone to move with real confidence. You didn't become someone to fear. You became someone impossible to fool. And that realization, it's spreading quietly, uncomfortably, exactly how real intelligence always does. Now, I need you to pause with me for a moment here. If you're still watching right now, it's not by accident. People with surface level thinking usually click away pretty fast. But this message keeps pulling the ones who sense there is something more going on beneath the surface. The same quiet intelligence people are whispering about you is probably the reason you are still listening. You don't chase noise. You follow patterns. You stay with something feels precise and real. And now let's get specific about what makes you dangerous in this particular way. You don't move in straight lines like most people do. That's the first thing. They lose the moment they assume you think like them. That's the mistake they keep making over and over, and it costs them. They expect you to move in straight lines because that's how their minds work. Problem, reaction, response. Cause, effect, noise. Simple, predictable, easy to counter. But you don't operate on that level. And that's exactly why the whispers about you have turned sharp. You don't chase answers, you dissect structures. You don't jump, you map. And that difference is what makes them nervous. Yeah. And here is what they don't understand yet, and it eats at them quietly. You don't respond to what happens. You respond to why it happened, how it connects to everything else, and what it unlocks next. While they are arguing over the surface, having these emotional reactions, you are already underneath the floorboards, counting support beams. That's not overthinking, that's systems thinking. And people who live off shortcuts and quick wins hate people who see the whole mechanism, the whole machine. You pause before acting, and they mistake that pause for hesitation. That's their first error. You're not frozen. You're running simulations in your head. You're watching how one move branches into 5 different outcomes. You are deciding which version of the future benefits you the most. And by the time they feel confident enough to make noise, You have already made the decision internally. Internally. When you finally move, it feels sudden to them. To you, it feels inevitable. You saw it coming 100 times over. This is where the intimidation actually starts. People are comfortable with fast thinkers. They can read quick reactions, loud opinions, predictable emotions, responses. Those people are easy to belt and easy to steer. But you don't bite. You don't rush to explain yourself. You don't give emotional reactions on demand like you are performing for an audience. That silence of yours isn't empty. It's loaded, and deep down they feel it. Think of it like this. Most people play checkers and they are not even good at it. But you are playing chess. Not the flashy kind. Slow, patient, positional chess. You don't care about winning small arguments or getting momentary validation. You care about endgames. You let them feel smart early in the game because you know the board tightens later. You know how this ends. That's why people who try to outmaneuver you end up confused. They think they are ahead and they are playing confidently. Then suddenly they realize there are no safe moves left. Every direction has consequences. Every option closes, and they never ever saw it happening. Here is a question that might be forming in your mind right now. Why does this make people act weird around you? Why do they suddenly change their tone, hesitate, or explain themselves like they are nervous? Here is the answer. When people realize you don't think linearly like they do, they realize they can't control the narrative with you. You're not reacting to what they say. You are reacting to what their behavior reveals. You notice inconsistencies they thought were buried. You remember patterns they thought you forgot. You connect dots across time in ways that surprise them. That makes manipulators panic, because manipulation only works on people who think moment to moment. People caught in emotional reactions. People who don't track patterns over time. But you do. That's your superpower and their nightmare. There is a psychological fact worth knowing here. Humans feel the most threatened not by intelligence itself, but by intelligence they can't model, can't predict, can't play around. If they can't predict your response, they can't plan around you. If they can't plan around you, they lose their leverage. That's when respect turns into caution, and caution turns into whispers. They start testing you with small comments, subtle jabs, fake confidence. They are fishing for reaction. They want proof that you are just like them. Emotional, impulsive, easy to steer. But you don't give them that satisfaction. You respond later. Not at all. Or in a way that makes them rethink the entire interaction. That's when it clicks for them finally. This person isn't playing the same game. This person isn't even in the same game. And here is the part that hits them hardest. You don't need to dominate conversations to dominate outcomes. You let others talk. You let them reveal their thinking, their fears, their habits, their weaknesses. Every word they spill is data to you, intelligence. While they think they are winning socially, being impressive, you are learning strategically. You are gathering information. And by the time they realize what you have gathered, what you've understood, it's way too late to take it back. You have already seen the full picture. You've probably noticed this pattern in your own life already. People underestimate you early. They relax around you. They overshare. They assume you're passive or distracted. But then something shifts. You make one move, say one sentence, set one boundary, and suddenly the entire dynamic changes forever. They didn't see it coming because they were watching the wrong thing. They were watching your speed. You were watching the structure underneath everything. That's why the whispers about you are no longer playful. They have turned cautions. People don't say you're smart anymore. They say, be careful. That's a downgrade in comfort and an upgrade in awareness. They have realized you are not someone to rush, corner, or pressure. You don't react well to force because force isn't how you operate. You operate through leverage and understanding. And let me ask you something. Why do you think you feel isolated sometimes when you think this way? It's because most people don't want to slow down enough to think structurally. Straight line thinkers want a quick wins and clear labels. You don't give them that. Your mind moves in loops and layers and long arcs. You see how today connects to next month, how one choice reshapes an entire relationship, how one reaction changes the power dynamic. That's depth, creates distance, not because you are above others. No, but because you are operating on a completely different timeline. Make no mistake, the enemy feels the distance too. They sense that you are not fully accessible, not emotionally, not mentally, not strategically. They can't pull you into chaos on demand. They can't rush your decisions. They can't pressure you into mistakes. That's why they either back off or try harder. Both reactions are proof you are doing something right. And here is the brutal truth they won't admit out loud. You make them feel exposed. Your way of thinking highlights how reactive, scattered, and surface level their own minds actually are. And instead of rising to your level, most of people would rather label you as too quiet, too serious, hard to read. Those labels, they are not criticism, they are defenses. You are not confusing, you are complex. You are not slow, you are deliberate. You are not detached, you are strategic. The more you lean into this way of thinking, the louder the whispers get. Because once people realize you don't move in straight lines, they realize something else too. You can't be played with the usual tricks. You don't fall for emotional bait. You don't chase approval. You don't reveal your full heart just to make others comfortable. You don't walk the path they expect. You circle the board, remove their options, and move only when the outcome is already decided. It's not arrogance. No. That's intelligence with discipline. And that's exactly why the latest whisper about you isn't admiration anymore. It's caution. It's respect mixed with something like that feels like fear. Yeah, fear. So, here's what I want you to understand clearly. This wasn't just entertainment, this was recognition. The whispers about you exist for a reason, and now you know exactly why. You're not loud, you're not reckless, you're not easy to read, and you're definitely not someone to play with. And the more you move like this, the more aligned you become with who you actually are. The clearer it becomes to everyone watching. So, I'm really proud of you. And stay safe, be blessed.